This is why I can't stand Donald Trump being president because of things like this. So, this morning, Donald Trump put out a tweet that is very dangerous for the whole world. He said, I have instructed the United States Navy to shoot down and destroy any and all Iranian gunboats if they harass our ships at sea. Okay. Um, why? Well, there's two precipitating events. One is last week, the Navy did put out a statement saying that Iran's Revolutionary Guard was conducting, quote, dangerous and harassing approaches to our gunships. And, um, and by the way, having followed the news for a quarter of a century now, yeah, I'm old. Um, that happens all the time, and I always find it curious. I don't know. I guess I do know why we allow it, but I get that it's grating on the nerves, and I get that there's an argument to be made that we should never allow it. Different countries do this at different times, but since we've had conflict with Iran for so long, they do this a lot. Well, they're sending these tiny little ships near our obviously bigger ships in the sea. So they're got the little gunboats. We have the massive U.S. Navy there, and the reason we don't fire back at them is because you don't want to start a conflict. And so if you fire back at them, they're going to be embarrassed politically, domestically. They're going to want to fire back at you. Next thing you know, you're knee deep in a conflict. I get the logic of it, but there should be some sort of way of making sure they don't get close to our ships. Because at some point, they can get close enough that they could do damage if we do get in a conflict. So I understand that completely. So here's the curious part. And by the way, that doesn't necessarily mean the right answer is, oh, just shoot them all down. No, please, for God's sake, can you be thoughtful for a second? But we'll get back to that in a second. But the really curious part is, wait a minute. If the Navy said that last week, why is Donald Trump randomly tweeting about it this morning? Well, you might have seen the title of the video, and you know it if you've been following the news at all. Because Donald Trump is an idiot who doesn't read past one page. He probably didn't read that Navy report, doesn't do any homework, doesn't do any of his work as president or commander in chief, but he does watch TV. Lots of TV, especially Fox and Friends. So this morning, Fox and Friends did a story about how the Iranians are harassing our ships by coming too close to them. So Donald Trump, who should have known that a week ago, just learns it on Fox and Friends. So then he gets all animated. He's like, did anybody know this? I'm guessing that people at the White House, especially at the Pentagon, are like, yes, Mr. President, we did know that. In fact, we told you that a week ago when you were worried about your ratings and wouldn't pay attention. But okay, great. Fox and Friends did a segment. So, but now, since Fox and Friends did a segment, he's so mad about it, the child throws a temper tantrum and does that tweet, which I told you about, which is destabilizing. So look, I don't know what other effect it'll have. The worst effect, obviously, would be if people follow through and then we went and got it stuck in a conflict and then a war. But another ancillary effect could be the oil markets are in a lot of trouble. And they barely started to recover this morning. But if all of a sudden Trump puts out a tweet saying he might attack Iran, well, that'll send oil potentially spiraling down. Now, it could have the opposite effect too, because the markets are funny things. They might think if there's a war with Iran, there'll be less oil. Hey, maybe the price will go up because you'll have a lower supply. So both of those things are possible. Or there's instability in the Middle East. Oh my God, there's more concern about oil. So it could go in both directions. But did Donald Trump think of any of this? Of course not. Of course not. He barely has two cells bouncing around in there in that tiny mind of his. And so this is how we lead the world. But with a guy who's a child who watches cartoons and morning television, and he goes, "Oh, I can't believe what that Roadrunner did to Wile E. Coyote." Urgh! And he's always on Wile E. Coyote's side for some reason in this analogy, right? And he's like, "I can't believe he fell off that cliff. Urgh! Let's go destroy the Roadrunner." Okay, all right, no, but this isn't Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. You're threatening to attack another country. If Iran put out a statement saying, I give an order to, what did he say? To shoot down and destroy any U.S. ship they see at sea. Well, we would be very concerned about that, rightfully so. We think that maybe Iran wants to start a war. Well, they're going to think the same thing. So, and this is the guy who said, oh, Joe, we're not winning with the wars in the Middle East. I'm not going to have any more wars in the Middle East. Unless I see something on morning television and it gets me a little agitated, then my little child mind will get upset and put out a tweet that could start a war. This is the child we have in office. So I hope he backs away from it, because he never means anything, right? He does and he doesn't. Does he really hate the people that he attacks? Yes. Does he have those stereotypes? Does he discriminate? Yes. He means all that. Does he really not believe in democracy? Is he an authoritarian that would shut down the press in a second if he could? Yes. Does he want to lock up his political opponents? Yes. Okay. So he means those things. But in terms of the flip-flopping, he's basically A/B testing. So he'll say, North Korea is the worst. North Korea is the best. I've been so tough on North Korea. I'm in love with Kim Jong-un. Which one did they like better? He does this A/B testing all the time. So here, I'm not going to get into wars in the Middle East. I'm going to destroy Iran and all their ships. I'm so tough, but I'm so smart. I'm not going to go into war, but I'm going to go to war any second. And we got to live through this, the roller coaster of the Mad King. And up and down we go, up and down we go. But when you're taking chances like that, sometimes they go south on you. I mean, look, again, we had this incompetent buffoon in charge. When a pandemic hits, oops, it turns out you need a competent president, and now we lead the world in number of cases, number of deaths, the equivalent of 15 9/11s on his watch because of coronavirus. You need someone smart to be the leader. But there's something wrong with the culture in this, of the right wing in this country. They celebrate ignorance. So they're like, oh, Trump is talking out of both sides of his mouth, doesn't know what he's doing with Iran. Well, that's good. You shouldn't know what you're doing. We don't need any of those stinking Ivy League, smarty pant, elitist, smart people in office, okay? What we need is an average guy you could have a beer with. By the way, why do they say that? George Bush is an alcoholic. He's the worst person to have a beer with, but they elected him because they thought they could have a beer with him. Donald Trump doesn't drink. That's one of the few good things about him. And they're like, oh, I could have a beer with him. No, you literally couldn't. Anyway, so you wanted a dummy in charge. Congratulations, we have a dummy in charge. But then don't come crying and saying, well, I didn't want any more wars. Even the Republican voters didn't want any wars. That's why he won the primary. He kept talking about how stupid Iraq was, because even the Republican voters know how stupid Iraq was, even though the Republican Party started it. So now, if he, like coronavirus, blows this, because he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, well, that was your fault for putting him into office when you knew he was a dummy. So, and he proves it every day. I saw it on Fox and Friends. I'm so mad. Let's start a war. This is the idiot in chief that we have. All right, a lot more on all these stories. The show now starts at 5:30, live show every day, youtube.com/TYT or tyt.com/live. Either way, same stream. The Young Turks starts at 6 o'clock every day, as you know, but now the interviews are starting at 5:30. So check that out. Today's Earth Day, by the way. John has a special, John Irola does, that actually starts at 7 o'clock today as well. So we've got a giant amount of programming for you today. If you want to get all of our shows, tyt.com/join to become a member. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can just hit the join button right underneath this video. And thank you for supporting us through becoming a member and getting all of our shows and all of our programming. Thank you for watching us live when you do. And if you've donated to our campaign, thank you for that. It makes a giant difference, especially in these tough times. So tyt.com/go to do that. All right, let's hope we don't accidentally go into a war with this buffoon in charge. See you guys in the live show.